What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another F1 24 My Team Career Mode video. Today, round one of essentially what is the 2025 season. It's our second season in this career mode. Starting off at Bahrain, it's a 16 race season. If you want to know what tracks we're going to be going to in advance, go check out the previous video. There'll be a card at the top right corner for you. But braking heavily into turn one to start off our first lap in Q1. As far as the season goes as a whole, we still have the best engine, but every other area of the car is struggling, to say the least. We're doing okay, but we just really need to throw upgrades at this car to make it the best overall. But so far, a pretty tidy lap. Hamilton going top with a 29.3, and yeah, overall felt a very decent kind of car put together with the setup. A little bit of a lock up there as we go into the very tight left-hander of turn 10, and yeah, again with the straights here, especially sort of run down to turn 1, run up to turn 4, technically, I think it's turn 4, and even this sort of back straight here. And pretty much most of Sector 3 is flat, so with a strong engine we can do well. Missed the apex there slightly, but I think we'll probably get through Q1 on just this one set of tyres with this one lap, considering it's been a clean lap. And a nice final corner there, getting right up to the track limits on exit and across the line for a 128.2. What a disgusting lap. Almost as disgusting as a nice subscribe, so don't forget to do that if you do want to see more of these videos. But heading into Q2, again braking just around where the curb starts, back end stepping out slightly as we're trying to go on, I think these are new tyres again. I think we're trying to do a one and done, but that turn 1 was not ideal. Now on the run up to turn 4, braking about the 100-meter board, tip the car in down to third. We go a little bit deep, but get some nice acceleration on exit. And then these corners here really horrible for me at the moment, as as you guys will know, as we actually mount that curb and bottom out massively, which has completely compromised this lap essentially. But we're still going to go for it in the hopes that we can get through into Q3 just with one run. But if not, we can also do another run as a little bit of a back end wiggle as well under traction. So this lap's really not been as good as our first one in Q1. Just a couple of little mistakes creeping in. Potentially we got a bit too comfortable after easily climbing to the top of the timing board on our previous run. But obviously green sectors we're not doing too badly. It is the first run in Q2, so we're not going to see whether or not we're doing particularly well. About 20% battery for the run up to the line, braking just after the 100-meter board there, and now putting the power down. Again, not as good compared to our previous lap, but running up to the line is a P3 with the two Aston Martins ahead of us, which by the way on the performance index are pretty much the fastest car at this point. So what they did during the winter break must have been absolutely diabolical. But now again, going out for a second run in Q2 here, just really want to see if we can kind of correct some of those mistakes from the previous lap, but we're already a 10th down. Didn't really use too much battery on the start-finish straight, so that could be why. So we go massively deep again, which is really not what we want to do. I know we've had a lot of time off, both in sort of the virtual world of Formula 1, but also in real life, moving house and things like that as well. But we nailed it. Maybe beginner's luck in Q1, but now we're really kind of trying to maybe overdrive the car a little bit too much. Really trying to drag every split second, every meter out of every part of this car. We've gained a bit of time back. We're now dropping down the places. We're in P9 now with almost a 10th up on our previous time, which again is still not good enough. Maybe there's some sort of improvement we can find here as we actually lose time from missing the apex of the second to last corner. Maybe we can make it up in the final corners. We mount the curb nicely, gain about a 10th, losing out slightly, but we do have a bit more battery than last time as well as we run up to the line. As a gain of about a tenth, moves us to 8th with a purple final sector, but still not enough for us to feel comfortable. So we're going out again, our third run in Q2, crossing the line with about 15 seconds to spare on the timer, and again another little back end wiggle. We're running about a 55% brake bias as well, so it's not a ridiculous brake bias. Not really sure what it is. Maybe because we're using worn tires to try and keep a new set spare, potentially for the race or potentially for Q3. We've just found heaps of time just by hitting the apex of turn 4. As yeah, again, avoid that curb on the right hand side. You will bottom out if you mount it too much. But we're in the green so far, although we drop some time there again, just around that sort of first hairpin of the second hairpin of the circuit. There's actually a lot of hairpins around Bahrain, if you want to call them hairpins. But 2 tenths up, 2.5 tenths almost. We're down in P12 at the moment. Norris is just ahead of us along with Carlos Sainz. So it's a pretty competitive top 10 at the moment, at least it seems that way. But we are working hard here to find the time, almost 3 tenths up on our previous lap, on our best lap of Q2. As we round the final corner here, as we lose the front right on a bollard, which is definitely not made of concrete. That was a dramatic end to our qualifying. I have no idea what that bollard was made out of, but it's going to be a pretty clear race, I think, for us today around this circuit, which does have 15 turns around this 5.4 kilometer piece of tarmac. 3 DRS zones, which is very, very nice indeed, and will help us if we're even stronger on the straight than we seemed in qualifying. But let's have a look at the starting grid itself. Fernando Alonso, I did say the Aston Martins were extremely strong on the performance index, and Fernando has proved my point. Carlos Sainz clearly rose from 10th in Q2 to P2 in Q3. Following them, we've got the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc in P3, Hamilton followed by his teammate Russell in 5th. 6th is Stroll, 7th Verstappen, Piastri, Perez, Ocon, Norris, ourselves in P12, followed by Daniel Ricciardo, Kevin Magnussen, Yuki Tsunoda, Alexander Albon, Nico Hülkenberg, Logan Sargent in the Haas, Pierre Gasly, our teammate, down in 19th, not a great showing from him, but then Pourchaire, Zhou, and Dennis Hauger round out the 22 cars on the grid for this year. So there's been a couple of driver moves. Nothing too crazy in terms of the top teams. I'm fast forwarding this strategy because it was literally a minute and a half long, and I didn't want you guys to have to sit through me endlessly flicking through tire compounds and doing whatever I was doing. But it's looking like a hard soft is actually a decent strategy for us here. Going to go long, hope for a safety car, and come home with a win. But all the lights are on. Now they're out as we go racing here for the first time in this season. And we get a horrible amount of wheel spin, and everybody around us is on the soft tyre. So it's actually going to make it look worse than it potentially is. We're going to sneak down the inside of the 2 McLaren, just side by side, just now ahead of us. Again, from the traction of those softs, it's just unreal compared to the hards. Can we make anything work on the run up to turn 4? Are they going to brake early? They do a little bit. We go down the inside of Lando Norris, try and tuck in behind his teammate, but Norris is going to have the run around the outside on those softs, and we're just going to file in for now. It's not won on the first lap, and I don't think there's going to ever be anything we could do against soft tyres at the very start of a race. The advantage of the softs is just too great over the hards, and our tyres take a couple of laps to warm up fully, which obviously is not good for racing, but it's pretty good for, I guess, longevity and durability of the tyres. We go a little bit deep, but it's nothing too stressful right now. We're just kind of following the leader. As you can see on the minimap in the bottom left, we've actually got the Ferraris and the Aston Martins running away. I don't know if a car up ahead has damage, but we're only on lap 3 now, and the gap is huge between the top 4 and the rest of the grid. So I have no idea what we're going to have to do this year to catch those cars ahead in terms of development. And there was a Mercedes with damage, and now Piastri with the DRS easily getting ahead of us there as we go a bit deep as well. Try not to give Norris too much room, but enough to let him think we're ready to play, but we're not ready to play just yet. So we're going to go for a little move on Oscar Piastri around the outside of the final corner. He does get a little bit spooked by our sudden dive to the outside, and now we've got Ocon for company just ahead of us, and you can still see the Aston Martin in P1 is actually already going through the second DRS zone, as we're not even hitting the first corner yet. So the field spread is pretty crazy for the top 10. We're P9. We've got Ocon for company, and we're actually now, as you can see in the bottom right, running low on fuel already. We left, I think it was 0.3 over the number of laps in the race, so we should have more than enough fuel really, but I think I've just got a heavy right foot in this race, and we're just burning through the fuel. We've even got on our engine, by the way, multiple fuel efficiency upgrades. So the amount of fuel we would need for this race as we go massively deep there, and Oscar Piastri's thinking about having a look, but not any space for him there. But the amount of fuel we must have needed to put into this car to get it to go the full race distance, we must have had to put an extra lap at least of fuel, potentially. At this point, we're 6 laps into the race and we're 0.1 of a lap down. But it's been okay so far. We've made some progress. We started P12, we're now in P8. We are on the hards. The softs are going to get weaker relative to our hards. We don't have much battery, but you can see already as we move on to lap 7, we're catching the cars in front that obviously are battling, and we're dropping the cars behind. So we're slowly edging forwards. Maybe even catching the leader, if I dare say so myself. I'll just keep checking the mini-map, but we've dropped another 0.1 of a lap as up ahead, I think it was George Russell with a lock-up as he's going side by side with Sergio Perez now. We should be able to capitalise on this as Lewis Hamilton's out of the session. There must have been a mechanical issue in that Mercedes. He's towards the start of Sector 3 actually, so he must have been the Mercedes that was right at the back, had some wing damage earlier on in the race, and is now retiring, which, as I say this, I need to mention, I've added some additional mods on top of the, obviously, the car livery mod, the My Team kind of design for the Budo Andretti F1 team. So damage is a bit higher than normal, maybe more realistic. So as we saw in Q2, wheels will rip off, wings will just fly around. There's a lot that's going to happen, all in an aid to make it a little bit more realistic, maybe make the AI a bit more aggressive as well, and better at racing. But here we go. Pit stops are happening all around us. Verstappen is just ahead, 1.5 seconds ahead. He's on the soft. He's probably going to box at the end of this lap now. Stroll and Sainz and co behind us are pitting for the hard tyre. So if we're not going to pit at the end of this lap, obviously, because we're not going to have as much of an advantage on the softs. I think we are going to box at the end of this lap for a brand new set of softs. Alonso 15.8 seconds behind us now. Not really battling, so we're not really going to be able to overcut them. And our pit rejoin, as we have a massive slide, our pit rejoin position is actually going to be 11th at the moment, which not too bad. We're going to have a massive tyre advantage. You know, not only fresher tyres because we box a lot later than everybody else, but also the much softer compounds. As we peel into the pit lane, we should be feeling a little confident in terms of where we're going to rejoin and the tyres that we're going to have until the end of the race. The hards will get faster than us towards the end, potentially. Around there. But there's a pit stop issue on the front right as well. Just to add a bit of insult to injury there. And also, we're still too low on fuel. So we're really going to have to start lifting and coasting massively. We already started to do it a bit before our pit stop, but we're going to have to do it a bit more. We are going to have to lift a ridiculous amount, and you might start to see it here. When I lift almost 300, 400 meters before the corner, just to try and save as much fuel as possible, because I'm burning through it like there's no tomorrow. And yeah, it's not going to help with our progress, but with Piastri and Ocon battling, I can just take it easy into the corner, try not to go too deep or anything like that, really try and kind of maximize what we can do. As now they're a bit slow off the corner, we're going to use the advantage of the softs as Piastri's going defensive against Ocon and not thinking about us with a juicy double overtake on the Alpine and the McLaren. It's not really good for our fuel consumption, but it's good fun to get a nice double overtake because of the soft tyres. And again, we're just going to not think about fuel saving when we're trying to catch the group ahead, just so we can use the DRS, save a bit more fuel with obviously having a reduced drag on the car. Makes us a bit faster, so we reach the end of the straight quicker, so we use less fuel on the straight. We're still going to lift and coast though, even with the DRS, because frankly if we don't, we're just simply going to lose more and more fuel. But it's looking like, if we're looking at the mini-map there, we're not too far away from P4. Just ahead of us is essentially P5 in the hands of Lance Stroll. We're going to go around the outside of George Russell, just try and sneak in under the rear wing of Lance Stroll, get a good slipstream, get some DRS, and we don't have too much battery, but we're probably not going to need it because we're going to look to the inside to force the defensive maneuver from the cars ahead, roll around the outside, try not to use too much fuel, and let the softs do the rest of the work, which worked out marvellously there. 2 overtakes in 2 corners, and now we're just going to sit on the back of Verstappen, let Verstappen do his thing, and see how much fuel we can save. We're still about 0.2 of a lap down, which is still, well, it's a fifth of the lap. So if you think that there's 3 sectors, and we basically got a fifth, so if we end up getting 0.3 of a lap down on fuel, that's an entire sector essentially that we're missing from our fuel tank, which is not what we need if we want to finish this race in any sort of good position. We get a great bit of traction compared to the Red Bull, and an easy overtake with some DRS and battery deployment there. Again, right now, fuel consumption not on my mind. I'm going after Carlos Sainz. I'm going to grab his DRS and hang out with that Ferrari. Remember, Carlos Sainz, actually, from our last video, completely rejected our approach to have him as our teammate for this season. And I wonder what he's thinking now as he's seeing our car in his rear view mirrors for probably the first time this season, and a fastest lap of a 29.3, which is a nice lap time there, considering we've been saving some fuel as well. And now Verstappen seems to have joined us in the Carlos Sainz train, which is maybe not the best thing in the world. And you'll never guess what the fuel remaining is saying. It is about 0.3 of a lap. So 4 laps to go in P5. There is a bit of a gap to George Russell behind, and the McLaren as well. I'm going to say that's Oscar Piastri. We're trying to sneak up the inside there of turn 2, around the outside of turn 1. Turns to the inside, get the DRS still because we were behind at the detection point. And nice and easy. Hards versus softs, no question. Softs come out on top. We're still trying in every place possible to save some of this fuel. Trying to make sure we always have DRS as well, though, which we now have on Fernando Alonso, and even then, yeah, we're still with Sainz and Verstappen, who are just behind us, but we can now see P2 actually just ahead of us. 3 laps to go, 3 laps including this one, and to the outside, big lift and coast, few hundred meters before the braking zone. Around the outside, go for a little bit of a switchback. I think there was a little bit of a kiss to the back end of Alonso, which, if you're counting, that's the first one this season where I've said something that could be taken as questionable. There'll be many more to come, I'm sure, but we're through on Alonso. P3 is secured. You can just see by my throttle trace, the green bar that, on the right hand side. So we have a massive moment there on entry to the hairpin. But as I was saying before, you can probably see from my throttle trace that I'm really trying not to, in places, I'm really trying not to even hit 100% on the throttle, just to try and save a bit more fuel. We're down to, well, we've got a lap after this one. I've given up on P2. I do not have the fuel to contend with Sergio Perez in this race, and I'm not even hitting full throttle anymore, except for maybe here, when I need the acceleration to keep Alonso behind. But I'm really trying everything. Going in deep as well, as Alonso's going for a switchback. He's even going to have the DRS, but we've got 96% battery. There's no way he can compete. We do have to go full throttle though, which is not good for fuel consumption. But we're going to send it around the outside, and that's move secured, or position secured rather. As now you can just see we're about 70% throttle there. Just really trying to get around the circuit as slowly as possible to try and save the fuel. We're really doing everything in our power, and look at the queue that is forming behind us. There's 3 proximity arrows at the bottom of the screen right now, just for how close everybody is, and there's a Mercedes as well joining the party as we're on the final lap, and we still have 0.26 laps less than we need to finish this race.
You've lost some time to the car behind.
We have saved 0.6 in the first corner. This might be possible. Can we hold on to the podium position here? So we're going to try and save a bit more fuel, lifting and coasting, really trying to be gentle with the throttle. We don't want our engine to drink any more fuel than it needs to get around the circuit. We're going to heavily defend the inside at every possible moment. 0.18, I believe that says, maybe 0.19. Nope, back up to 0.2. We are not having a fun time here at all. Alonso going again for the switchback. We get a bit of wheel spin. So Alonso's now side by side with us. He has the inside line. He's got the DRS. He's using his battery. Max Verstappen's looking to the outside, but we go through the middle and keep our position somehow. Again, trying to save fuel still, but we have 0.2 of a lap. We're going to go round the outside now of Max Verstappen, trying desperately to hold on to our position. Can we take P3? No, we can't. We've hit low fuel mode, and now everybody's just flying past. We're down to P8. Next is Lando Norris in the McLaren, and then Esteban Ocon in P10. Can we come away with a handful of points? No. Can we keep 2 points? No. Can we keep 1 point? Tsunoda's coming, but we're through. The checkered flag. And that was a very stressful end to a 20-lap race. If you like stress, subscribe. I'm sure it's very stressful watching these videos. Stressful to record them.
And it's Monaco go for Charles Leclerc as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
Well, all their off-season work clearly paying off here today, Crofty. A brilliant way to start the season with a solid victory. It's a real good confidence boost as well, and you feel like that's going to really propel them forward through to the next race coming up.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Indeed, kind of surprising at the end there that the Aston Martins weren't higher up. I don't know if they caught some damage. I know we kind of overtook Alonso towards the end, and I think we just ruined his race entirely with our very aggressive defending and the lack of fuel. And that obviously gave Verstappen the opening to pinch P3 and join his teammate Sergio Perez on the podium, but Charles Leclerc with the win.
Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Indeed, Crofty, thank you for giving me a little bit of a break. My voice is going to thank you for that as well. But Charles Leclerc, followed by Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen for the top three. Fernando Alonso P4, then Sainz, Russell, Piastri, Norris, Ocon, ourselves with the fastest lap in P10, followed by Yuki Tsunoda, Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, our teammate Pierre Gasly in 14th from 19th on the grid, which is pretty good. Alexander Albon, Hauger, Hulkenberg, Sargent, Zhou Guanyu, Pourchaire, Magnussen, and Hamilton. The last two obviously DNFing in this race, but there's highlights for you now. It was, again, a very intense race, especially at the end. I think as soon as I could see that the fuel would be an issue, the stress levels increased massively. But yeah, we won't be making that mistake again this season. Let's just say there was a bit of dust and cobwebs on our strategic minds, and yeah, I think it could have been a really good result if we didn't have the fuel issue. But you'll have to let me know what you guys think. What was on the was the win on the cards there? I think P2 was definitely on the cards, but again, hindsight is 2020. We can't, I guess, be too critical, but it was entirely my fault. So that's what we have to deal with. But some good overtaking, some good driving, some mistakes to just forget about and try not to do again. But we look forward to the next round of this virtual 2025 season. And yeah, if you're new around here and you want to see more of these videos, subscribe. If you haven't seen any of the other videos from last season, you can find those. There's a whole playlist on my channel specifically for my team. If you want to see any of the challenges as well, they'll be on my channel too. If you enjoyed, leave a like. You know what to do. If you I don't know, want to shout some hate, vent, just comment, I guess. I don't know what comments are for anymore, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll catch you all next week for round 2.